Hello and welcome to this lecture on making claims. After this lesson, students will know how to make a claim, to support a claim with reasons, to support reasons with evidence, and how to evaluate these claims. The first thing we're going to do is start with what sort of questions we should ask. We should always start with what is the purpose of our paper. You should have an overall goal for your paper, whether this is a thesis statement, a research question, a hypothesis, whatever it is, you need that purpose. So an example here is, how does Facebook use impact depression rates in teenagers? And I argue that Facebook use increases depression rates in teenagers. So that's where my starting point. That's the overall objective of my paper. The next thing I need to do is ask what sort of claims I need to make in order to pursue this overall goal. So things I may need to show is that Facebook use is increasing among teenagers, increased use of Facebook is used to compare oneself to others, and this comparison promotes bad self-image or jealousy, leading to depression. These are things I might need to show in order to, again, support that overall goal of Facebook increasing depression rates in teenagers. Our next step is to figure out what sort of reasons are going to support the claims I'm making. So, for example, if my claim is Facebook use is increasing among teenagers, what are some of the reasons why that is happening? So one of my reasons is there's more access to internet and technology. My second reason is the pandemic is creating a lack of connection and people are seeking those connections through Facebook. The next step then is to provide some evidence to back up those reasons and claims. So if I take my first reason here of there's more access to internet and technology, I can see if there's any evidence to back up that claim, or that reason, excuse me. According to the Internet World Stats 2020, internet usage as a percentage of global population has increased from 28.7% in 2010 to 62% in 2020. So this is evidence again to back up my reason that there's more access to internet and technology, which then is also backing up that Facebook use is increasing among teenagers. And so 95% of teens had access to a smartphone, and this is from Anderson and Jing, 2018. So here I'm using data and evidence to back up the reason I have, which is backing up the claim, which is that supporting that overall objective that I have for my paper. So another thing we have to worry about here is making sure that we can evaluate our claims and ensure that they are adequate. So one thing we need to worry about here is our claim specific enough? So we could say Facebook use is growing. That's pretty general. We could say Facebook use is increasing among teenagers, which is what we started with. Or I could say the number of teenagers using Facebook for more than 2 hours a day is increasing. That last one is much more specific and therefore going to be a much better starting point for my claim. We also have to pay attention to what sort of logic we're using and be careful about our wording. We should always start with our claim and end with the reason. So here we have an example. Facebook use among US teenagers has increased since 2010 because access to internet technology has also increased. So here we have our claim in the beginning, Facebook use among US teenagers has increased since 2010, comma, and here I say because, now we're getting into that reason, because access to technology and internet has increased. So we have claim, reason. In fact, according to Internet World Stats 2020, internet usage as a percentage of global population has increased from 28.7% in 2010 to 62% in 2020. Now I'm providing some evidence to back up that reason, to back up that claim. We always want to make sure to explain the significance of our claim, the reasons we use, and evidence, and tie all of these back to the overall purpose, argument, research question, thesis, whatever it is. Sometimes we don't know everything, and so it's okay to qualify those claims. So for example, Facebook use is increasing among teenagers, assuming the self-reported surveys are correct, right? We're using the word assume here because sometimes self-reported surveys aren't always accurate. Another example is saying that this evidence suggests that access to internet technology has increased overall, including among teenagers, right? Suggests qualifies. We don't know for a fact that internet technology has increased among teenagers, but the fact that internet technology use has increased overall suggests, right, that it has increased among teenagers as well. And so this can be what it ends up looking like. We have a claim, we have a reason, we have evidence, another reason, some more evidence, reason, and evidence. And so you always want to do claim, have some reasons why that claim is correct, and evidence to back up each of those reasons. Sometimes multiple pieces of evidence per reason, and you always want to have multiple reasons why that claim is true.